Hi, this is Joanne Hewins with LoveToCreate.typepad.com. Today I'm going to go through 3 really quick cards with you, and these cards are using the Stampin' Up! COVID-19 Give Back PDF. I will link to my video about how you can get this PDF. This is a PDF that Stampin' Up! Is using as a give back to the world. There are 2 organizations. Who is one of them? I can't think of the other right now, but you are able to choose which one of the organizations you would like to give to. The PDF is $12 and the entire amount is given to help with COVID-19. This is a PDF. You'll receive it as an email, and so there's no shipping or any of that kind of thing. And demonstrators do not get a part of any of this money. It all goes to help. So I'd like for you to consider that, and I'll be doing this just simple cards that you might want to send to some friends during this time. It's a hard time to be self-quarantined, I guess you would say, and starts wearing on you, and making cards and sending cards is a good way to help you get through and to share smiles with other people. So we're going to be doing these 3 cards. As I said, they're simple, easy for you to make, and I think I will start with this one. I think it's the most simple of all. So for this one, we are using a piece of blueberry bushel cardstock. This is one of the retiring in colors. It's cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored and folded this on 4 1/4. So there's that. And then this color is Rococo Rose. It's an in color that will be with us another year. This is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And I do have these measurements on my blog and a link to my blog on the video. So you'll be able to get these later. This is just 1/8 of an inch smaller. And so it is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. Had to think for a minute. And this is from the Pressed Petals Designer Series paper. This is also retiring this year. And then here are a few pieces that we'll also need. This is all going to be on the inside of the card. And then this is cut with a the stitched, well, I cannot say it, the Stitched Shapes dies. And this is part of the download that you can get. And I just printed it onto cardstock. Now I'm going to tell you that I've been worried the last few days that my printer just isn't printing colors true to form. And come to find out, I had printed this in grayscale. So that's how I got these colors on this. And I tried to match it. It doesn't match exactly, but I think it looks fine on this card. So mainly just a lot of gluing to get this together. So I'm going to glue my designer paper to my Rococo Rose layer. And I am just using the multi-purpose liquid glue. And you might want to turn it around and see which way you think it looks best. I'm going to do it like that. And you can see that this paper is cut just a little bit smaller than the Rococo Rose. And then the next thing I'm going to do is use the polka dot, Whisper White polka dot tool for this. And what I'm going to do is, I don't usually tie on a video. I'm about to roll off the table there. But I'm going to do that today. And I'm just going to pull that around these layers And I want to make sure that I've got enough to tie my bow. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to bring in my glue dots because that's going to help me to tie the bow. I'm going to put it over on this side here. And then what I'm going to do is get a glue dot. This is my take your pick tool. And I'm going to put it right under my dot or my knot that I've made there. And you can see that's going to hold that into place so that I can do my bow. No promises on how this is going to turn out. With the almost dotted Swiss, it doesn't pull that easily through all that, but it's really a pretty ribbon. We've had this, I think, for 2 years, but it is also, I think, going away. Maybe I'm not positive about that, but pretty positive. So I'm going to trim my ends on that. And then all that's left for the front of this is to add my saying with dimensionals. I'm going to pull in some that are about used up here. And we'll pull that off. And actually, I'm going to come back and add some to the tops. And the reason is because that's going to end up being right on that bow. Well, I'll just use these little half pieces here. And I want it to stick to the paper. So I'll just put that in there. Okay, there you go. And then we'll glue this layer to the blueberry bushel. You can see if you want to do something pretty quickly, this would be a great card to do. It also uses up some of this paper that's getting ready to retire that you might want to use. And you may even want to put this layer on dimensionals and make it stand up a little bit. That would be an alternative that you could do. And there you go. There it is. All right, for the inside, I'm just going to glue in my Whisper White piece. And this is 4 by 5 1/4. And you might have noticed this card really has no stamping to it. So, as I say, pretty easy. Of course, you can do the same thing with your own sayings on that if you wish. Okay, I'm going to add a piece of Rococo Rose. And the measurement for that, let me see, that is 1/2 by 3 1/2. And I'm just going to add that up here toward the top of the card. And then I'll glue on my saying. And the saying is from the PDF again. And it says, "I'm here for you from a distance." And I just liked putting it over a piece of paper. I thought it would make it show up a little bit better. So there you go. There's the first card. Pretty easy. And I do like that saying, "You are essential to me." I thought that was very nice. Okay, we will pull that aside, and we're going to go to the next card, which is this one. And I'm going to make a little bit of a change in the card that we're going to make together. I'm going to use, instead of the basic black base, I'm going to use a gorgeous grape base, and we'll decide which one of those we like the best. This is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, and folded. And then use your bone folder, kind of match those corners down there, and then use your bone folder to get you a good crisp crease there. For this paper, this is from the Botanical Prints product medley. This is retiring. It is already sold out. They did a really, really great deal on it, and it went quickly. This piece is cut at 3 3/4. I'm sorry, this piece is cut at 4 by 5 1/2, 4 by 5 1/2, and we're going to put that on. And I'm going to get that even with the top up here. And then I also want it pretty even on the sides. And I'm going to be honest with you, I usually cut this paper just a tad longer than I think it needs to be. I don't want it to come up short, and it's easy to trim off the extra. So this piece is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2, and it's going to fit right in there. Actually, I'm going to cut that so that it's 3 1/2. And my only cutter I've got close by is this old cutter that's now retired. It's close by, so we'll use that one. And we're going to cut that to 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. Now, if I really wanted to save on paper, I could put this piece down first and then just add some strips to either side of this one, and that would work just as well. But since I had plenty of paper and it's getting ready to retire, I just did this. Okay, so I've got my front part on now. I'm just going to turn this to the back and trim along here. Okay, so now that's pretty and even. The next thing I'm going to do is bring in this gorgeous grape. This is the mini stripe ribbon. And hold on while I bring over some tape. And what I'm going to do is put this just about in the center of my card. And I'm just going to put some tape here, because my circle is going to hide part of that. And then I'm just going to bring it around to the other side and tape that. I'm putting most of my tape so that it would go under there and be covered. Okay, so there's that part. And then this saying was cut out with the layering circles dies. So I cut out the saying, and then I cut out a coordinating scallop circle that's just a tiny hair bigger than that. So the layering circle dies. I didn't get those out to show you. And we'll glue those two together. And then we'll just add this with dimensionals. And this is about done. I'm just going to cut some pieces. Do you use the edges of your dimensionals? I hope so. And I'll bring this back and lay that on there for the next one. it's hard to make a card without using dimensionals, I think. So this is going to go in the center here. And when I cut this out, I did put a little bit more space up here at the top than I did at the bottom, and that was because I was going to be adding a bow to that. Okay, and I'm just going to use my bow maker. Stampin' Up! Does not sell these, but you can look them up on eBay or somewhere and find somebody who makes them and sells them. Okay, and then we'll add this bow. It's so fast to make a bow with one of those. And as usual, I have to search for the glue dots, even though I just had them in my hand. And this will go here on the card. We'll trim our ends. That was reminded me for a few minutes about a card that I just, not a card, but a meme I just saw on Facebook that said something about, I want to be her friends, but she doesn't know the difference between paper scissors and fabric scissors. And I just kind of thought that was funny because I do have a bow tied around my fabric scissors, and like to use those for just ribbon. And now I'm going to be using the glitter enamel dots. These are also retiring, and you can see I've got a lot left, so I need to be using them. That's why I decided to put 5 on here. And there you go. That's the outside of that one. Which do you like best? Do you like it better on the purple or the black? I'm thinking that the purple brings in these other colors a little bit better. Well, let's work on the inside of the card. And for this, let me bring in my pieces that I have. We are going to put a little bit of glue on this purple piece. And we're going to add this piece to it. So what I'm going to do is just kind of add just a little bit of a overlap on that. And let's see, the purple piece is 1/4 by 4, and then this piece is 3/4 by 4. And what I'm going to do is just glue that down to the bottom of the card. And remember, this piece would be 4 by 5 1/4. So this should fit. I'm going to put my card right on my grid paper and use that grid paper to help me get it even down here. And then I'm going to turn that over. It was just a tad bigger than 4 1/4. Or 4, I'm sorry. So we'll just trim that off. And then we'll be adding our saying. And again, this saying is from the PDF. So I'm going to add what a year this week has been, or your week seeming long, and then hang in there. And I'm just going to overlap that just a little right there. And then this will go on the inside of the card. Like this. So there's our second card for the video. And I've got a little bit of glue here. I'm going just to bring in one of these retired erasers and just erase that quickly. And here's our second card. And we've got one more that we're going to do. It's the one with the toilet paper saying. So for this one, let me bring in my pieces for it. We are going to use this saying, I totally share my toilet paper with you, for our card. I'm going to bring in a sheet of toilet paper that I'm going to put on. This paper is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. It's from the Country Club Designer Series paper. And then the Country Club Suite has this combo pack. And we're using this ribbon. It's Poppy Parade in color, and we're going to be using it on the front of our card. We are going to be using a stamp on this one. We'll use the heart stamp. This comes from the Music from the Heart stamp set right here. Sadly, this is retiring. I think it's a classic. And if you have any love for music, you're going to want to get this one while it's still available. Okay, what we are going to do first is attach our toilet paper. So I'm going to take this and move some of this other out of the way, and I'm just going to kind of fold it over a little bit. Otherwise, it would cover all of our pretty paper. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to bring in some glue dots, and we're just going to kind of glue dot that fold in place. And then we're going to I'm going to turn that over, and we're just going to put some glue dots. Okay, what I'm going to do is leave it like this, put a glue dot under there, and just kind of press. That's the way I did it before, but I didn't know I had a reason for doing it that way. And then it doesn't bother me that the saying is going to go over that. I just thought that might add a little interest to it. Okay, so there we go with that. And now we're going to do our piece of twine that goes across. I'm going to pull in. This is a little bit thicker twine, and for some reason I like to pull it apart, mainly for the bows, so for mailing reasons. It's going to go under this piece that is going to be on dimensionals, so that won't matter if it's thick going across here, but just this part I think gets a little flatter. So what I'm going to do is just take my pick tool and just kind of pull that apart at one end, and then I'm just going to pick a group and hold this and pull back with it to pull some of these out of the way. And I'm not so sure that one wants to. Maybe we'll just leave that like this in the interest of time. And then I'm just going to put them back together, and I want them to go across about there. So I'm going to just tape that to the back. And I want it to be straight, so I'm going to, maybe I'll just put it so that that's there, and my paper is straight on my grid. And then that can help us to get over here to where we want it. And then I'll just fold it to the back and tape that there. All right, so we're ready to go ahead and put some glue on the back of this piece. And then, oops. Well, I am determined to get glue on my paper. And then we will just add this. Now, I've told you before, I kind of like to get it from corner to corner diagonally, and it helps me to be able to move it around before I actually let it touch the paper. Okay, now we are, and I've got glue back here. Let me see if I can go ahead and get some of that off so it doesn't stick. Okay, I'll work with that a little bit more later. So I'm going to pull in my saying from the Share Sunshine Give Back, Stampin' Up! Give Back, and I'm going to stamp a few hearts. I just thought that it needed a little something in there. So I've got a few little hearts there. And I did use the Poppy Parade ink with that. And then we are ready to just fussy cut this out. And I am leaving a little bit of a border of white around there. Actually cut off some of that. I think it'll make it a little easier. And this isn't really that hard to cut out. It's mainly straight lines. But I am trying to hold my scissors kind of in one place, and it's the paper that I move with the other hand. And that, I think, gives you a little bit more control over what you're doing. Okay, so there's that. And I'll bring in some more dimensionals. Okay, I was looking for the ones that I had just a little bit left on, because most of the time I end up having little pieces that have about that much on there. So I'm just going to use that. And I've got this already cut where some of these are in half, so I'm just going to use them. Okay. We'll take off our backings. Now, did you know you could take your pick tool to pick those up? Also, it's probably a little bit faster if you know, if you can get a hold of them. It's really good to use that when you use those mini dimensionals. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my saying down. Okay, and I am going to work on my bow. Now on this one, I'm using the bow maker. I'm going to make a double bow. My thread or twine is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about almost 11 inches long. And I'm going to go ahead and pull these apart as I did the other part. Now, because this is longer, it's a little bit harder to pull it apart, but still not that hard. So I'm just going to kind of naturally look for where it comes apart, the pieces, and take it apart just like that. And I'll just do these 3 pieces. So I'm going to put it back together. And for this, I'm going to go around again. And then we'll finish off tying the knot. Okay. And my bow is going to go on with a glue dot. So I'm just going to sit it on there. Hopefully that will come off. I'm going to bend it back a little bit where it's sticking out. And then that's just going to go on here. I tried to place it so that it didn't cover up the words. And then we'll just trim out those. And I just realized after telling you I had ribbon scissors, I used these for both the paper and the ribbon. This ribbon on this one is generic, just so that I know when I have class, these are mine and they need to stay here. I have them out available for people to use, but I do have ribbon scissors. Okay, for the inside of this one, I'm just going to put some of the DSP Designer Series paper across the bottom and then the saying. So, one day at a time is what I'm using. And with my generic, don't take these from my class scissors. We'll cut that out. And I don't think I have to be super careful with this one.